Hi everyone, good evening. This is Ashish Dhyani and welcome to InfosecTrain. So guys, today we are here for the question and answer session for CompTIA Security Plus. So before proceeding to our session, let me start with my introduction. So my name is Ashish Dhyani. I am a trainer at InfosecTrain. Talking about my certifications, I am CH certified, I am CND certified, I am CCNA certified, I am Network Plus certified, I am Security Plus certified, I am Server Plus certified, I am Linux Plus certified, and I am Pentest Plus certified. Apart from these, I also take care of web application penetration testing and network penetration testing. So as you can see, there are moreover the things those are related to the networks and network security. So I am a network security expert also at InfosecTrain. Right? Talking about my trainings. So I have provided trainings to government and non-government organizations. I have done consultancy for government and non-government organizations. So I have done pen testing and vulnerability assessments for the different organizations. So as of total, I have 4.5 years of experience in this particular training field. And before that, I was working in data science. So I thought to make the data science and cybersecurity a combo so that we can automate our attacks, because we know that attacks are being automated nowadays. So that's why I changed to this field. Now, before starting our questions, guys, we are talking about CompTIA Security Plus. So what is Security Plus and what type of course it is? So let me introduce you with that. Right. So first, this is the agenda for the webinar today, discussing about Security Plus, the Security Plus exams, what domains are there, and then we will be discussing about the 10 questions that will be there in your Security Plus exam. Right, after that we will be having a quick questionnaire, a small questionnaire, and then we will be wrapping up our session. Right, so guys, let's start with it. Now first thing that we have is CompTIA Security Plus domains. Now if I talk about Security Plus first, so what is Security Plus, guys? Security Plus is a course that is provided by CompTIA. Right, now CompTIA is a leading certification provider in the market. Clear? Now if I talk about this, so Security Plus, this course Security Plus takes care of the defensive side, right? So we talk in terms of defenses, we are not talking in terms of attacks. We will be discussing in Security Plus, we have attacks also, that what types of attacks are there, but moreover it is a defensive side of course, right? So there are two things, we know that. So there are two teams in the organization, the red team and the blue team. Right? If I talk about the red team, red teamers are the offensive people. And blue teamers are what? Blue teamers are your defensive people. Right? Now we have these two teams. So what is the work of red team? Red team try to find out the vulnerabilities and exploit them. Right? And what blue team does, blue team is your defensive side, so they try to apply patches, they try to mitigate more and more vulnerabilities that they can, right? So this is the work of these two teams. Now if you want to go in the blue team, if you want to apply the patches and be a security person who is defending the organization, so what you will be going towards? You will be going towards your blue team. And the best start for that is Security Plus. So Security Plus is a course that is your entry level course in the cyber security with blue team inside. Right? So if you want to start your career in blue teaming, you can go for Security Plus. Right? Now, after that, what things you will learn in Security Plus, right? So the things you will learn, there are major 5 domains in Security Plus, right? And these domains are then separated into chapters, right? So different chapters are there, but main domains are these. So first domain is attacks, threats, and vulnerabilities. So in attacks, threats, and vulnerabilities, we will be focusing on the types of threats, what types of attacks are there, and what type of vulnerabilities are there. Right? Now, attack means, and threat means, and vulnerability means. What these 3 things mean? Now, attack means the technique that an attacker uses. Before that, we need to understand vulnerability. Vulnerability is any flaw or weakness in the system. Threat is what? Threat is anything that can lower the value of your asset. So if you have an data, if you are having an data and that data is very confidential for you and your organization, but if some attacker tries to get that data and he gets that data by attacking your device or by attacking any server in your organization, so that the value of your data is lower, right? Same like that, if you have a movie, any movie is being premiered, like let's say premiere date is on 1st of October, right? So what if that movie is leaked on 23rd September? So the value of that movie will be lower, because on the premiere date it will be on the theaters, but now it's on, you have the link, you can download that movie and watch it on your mobile phone, so it will be lower, right? And next, attack is a technique that is used to exploit the vulnerabilities, right? So any vulnerability is there, any flaw or any weakness if is there in your system, attack is used to exploit that, right? Okay, now what we have IoTs, we have new types of attacks, right? So we will learn about attacks, we will learn about what threats are there, or we'll learn about vulnerabilities, but we will learn the basics of these because it is not an offensive course, it is a defensive course. So we will learn about the attacks, threats, and vulnerabilities and the mitigation of it. So if you find a vulnerability in your organization, let's say if you are working as an penetration tester or a blue teaming guy, right? So what you will do, if you found any vulnerability in your organization, then what you will do, you will try to find a patch for it, right? Now we will learn about social engineering attacks also, your IoT based attacks, what types of DDoS attacks are there. So in DOS attacks, denial of service attacks. So in there we send large packets. So that those types of attacks, we talk about those also, right? Now next is architecture and design. So if I talk about architecture and design, so if you have an, let's say, enterprise, so having an organization is different and having an enterprise organization is a different thing, right? If you have an organization, this is one thing. Now enterprise is different thing. So can anyone tell me what is enterprise organization? Now organization is if you have your office in, let's say, any part of India, let's say Chicago, right? In Chicago you have an office only there, right? So that is organization. But enterprise organization means you have different branches of your organization, right? So how you will design that enterprise organization, what will be the architecture you will use, you will be using, how that architecture will be helping you in securing your organization. So that we will be learning in architecture and design. Now nowadays what is happening are organizations are moving towards your cloud, right? So we will be learning about the reliance on the cloud, how we are relying on the cloud. Now cloud is growing very quickly as organizations are transitioning to the hybrid networks, right? So we will be learning about the clouds also. Next we have is implementation. Now implementation means, a simple word implementation means we are implementing something. But what we are implementing? Now the things we are implementing is your identity and access management, right? So we have different types of authentications in that, right? That your identity and access management is there. We have two-factor authentication, multi-factor authentication, and we have cryptography, end-to-end security, wireless security. We have public key infrastructure. That how you will implement the security in your organization. We will learn about that, right? Now next is operations and incident response. Now what is operations and incidents response? Now if I talk about incident, so incident is any incident that happens. It can be a natural calamity, it can be a hack that happened to your organization, right? So that is what, that is your incident response. Now in this domain, what we talk about the organizational security, right? How you will assess the organizational security, how you will provide the incident response procedures. If an incident happens, what will be the methodologies that you will be using, how you will be basically using the threat detection, what risk mitigation techniques will be there, what security controls will be there, and you will also learn about the basics of digital forensics. So we have a forensics team in our organization. So if a hack happens, to find out the logs, to find out things that we have, right? Any type of any clue that we are trying to find. So that is what, that is your digital forensics. We will learn about that also. Now after that, what we have governance, risk and compliance. So in this, mainly in this domain, we will be learning about supporting organizational risk management. So how you can support, how you can implement the risk management, what regulations you will be using, how you will be governing those regulations, how you will be implementing those regulations, and also we will be talking about the compliances. So for different industries, we have different compliances. Like we have PCI DSS. So PCI DSS, if you have seen it, so like your digital payment platforms, like we have in India, Paytm, PhonePe, right? So these platforms use PCI DSS. So these compliances are used so that your information is put private, because those platforms have all of your information, your bank details, they have your card details, they have your citizenship details, and your cards like citizenship cards, like we have Aadhaar cards, voter ID cards, or any bank related passbooks. So they have everything. So it is, that's why we deploy compliances, so that your information stays secure, right? So we, apart from PCI DSS, we have HIPAA also. So HIPAA is used for medical line, right? If you are having any treatment in your hospital, so what you will be doing, you will be having, there will be a compliance, that is HIPAA, so that your medical information will not be shared with anyone, right? So for making sure HIPAA is deployed, we have different types of others like GDPR, FISMA, NIST, CCPA. These types of governance compliances we have, right? Okay. So these are your major domains that are in the security class. Now next we will be moving on to the exam. So if you are interested about the exam, so if you can see, the exam code is SY0601, right? Now in your exam, what we have, in your exam we have 90 questions, maximum of 90 questions. So what I mean by maximum of 90 questions, that means that your 90 questions are there, not more than 90, but If not 90, so it can be less than 90. So there can be your 75 questions, there can be your 80 questions, there can be 85 questions, or maximum there can be 90 questions, right? So only not less than 75 but not more than 90. So it ranges between 75 to 90, right? And what type of questions will be there? So there will be MCQs, multiple choice questions, right? So in multiple choice questions, what we have a question, they will give a question and your four options. So you have to select an option which is very appropriate, right? So that is your multiple choice question, right? After that, talking about your performance based question. So what performance based questions are, guys? And performance based question, what we have scenarios, right? So in security plus there is a chapter which is related to physical security, right? So in physical security we talk about locks, we talk about man traps, right? We talk about CCTV cameras, we talk about security guards, right? So this is your physical security. So in performance based question they will give you an architecture of a company, of an organization, that this is the architecture of an organization. So where you will provide which type of physical security. So will that be a biometric scanner? Will that be a fingerprint scanner? Will that be a RFID card reader? Will that be a smart card reader? Will that be a access token reader? Will that be a lock? Will that be a CCTV? Will that be lightning also? Will that be security guard? So these types of things you have to take care of. So you have to just drag the correct thing so that there will be a lock like this, a log made. So you have to drag this to the place where you want to implement it, right? So that is your performance based question. Now after that, the time duration you will get. So the time duration, even if you are getting 75 questions, the time duration will be 90 minutes. Even if you have 80 questions, same 90 minutes will be there. And even if you have 85 questions, same 90 minutes will be there. And even if you have 90 questions, 90 minutes will be there. So if you got 90 questions, if you are lucky enough that you are getting 90 questions, so 1 minute for each question. So you have to complete each one question in 1 minute, right? Now after that, passing score is 750 out of 900. So you have to be getting 750 out of 900 for getting security plus certificate, right? Minimum 750, right? So this is about the exam of your security plus. Now what we will be moving on to, guys, as the agenda says, that next thing that we have is the top 10 questions, the 10 questions that we have in security plus. So now starting with the questions, guys, the first question says, which of the following policies would help an organization identify and mitigate potential single points of failure in the company IT security operation? So we have to find out, I will be showing you guys the options. So from those options, we have to find out a policy that will help in mitigating the single points of failure, right? So what we have is we have these. So the options that we have are least privilege, awareness training, separation of duties, mandatory vacation, right? Now let's say there is any internal employee, he is a risk to the organization, right? So it's called disgruntled employee. Now that disgruntled employee is trying to get inside the organization. He knows some passwords of the organization. So what he did, he tried to attack the server. Now if the server is attacked, so you know that if any website is being hosted, so let's say we have a company with the name Amazon, right? And in Amazon, what happened? The internal employee attacked the web server of the Amazon. So the whole website will be down. So that is single point of failure, right? Now, what type of thing you will provide that there will be no single point of failure? We will be able to mitigate that. So least privilege, awareness training, separation of duties, mandatory vacation. Now first, you guys, when you guys will be sitting in the exam, first you have to think about the question and then you have to remove the options that you think are not appropriate. So mandatory vacation is not appropriate. You cannot mitigate the potential of single point failure, right? Mandatory vacation is there, but mandatory vacation is not removing the single point of failure. Now, least privileges. Yes, least privileges can be there, right? So we'll keep it for a while. Now, awareness training. So awareness training is what? It is a program basically in the organization that is designed to help the users and the employees to understand that what role they are playing in the organization or which role they are having in the organization. If you are a developer, so how you can be attacked and how you can combat with the information security breaches, right? So that is what, that is your awareness training, right? So we will remove this also, awareness training. Now next is separation of duties. So we are left with two things, separation of duties and least privilege. Now least privileges are what? That you are providing, let's say if there is a developer, right? So developer does not need the, let's say I am a developer in the organization, so I do not need the financial server, right? Financial things I don't need, even the financial transaction and all. So that is the least privilege. But developer has what? If developer is developing for a web server, do he has the access of web server? Yes, he knows that what is the access of web server. So in that, your least privileges is not helping us. So the answer is separation of duties. So people who said separation of duties is correct, because even if you are a developer, so there will be a team, and in that whole team someone will be handling the web server and someone will be handling the authentication part of it, right? And someone will be handling this authorization part of it. So not only the developer has the whole access of it. So if we do not have the whole access of that particular web server, now the single point of failure is not there. We have mitigated or lessened that risk, right? Now let's move on to the next question. Now next question is very easy, pretty easy. It says an organization wants to implement a third factor to an existing multi-factor authentication. So we have different types of authentication, multi-factor authentication, two-factor authentication. So in an organization wants to what? They want to implement a third factor also, right? So that means they have a two-factor authentication. They want to implement third factor authentication, three factor, right? So they want more security. So the organization already uses a smart card and password. So two factors are there, smart card and password. So something you have and something you know. These are the authentication factors. Something you have a smart card. Something you know, what you know, you have a password, right? So something you have and something you know. These two things are there. Now third factor will be what? So it is asking which of the following would meet the organization need for a third factor. So let's see the options, guys. Now in the options, what we have, an organization wants to implement this third factor, right? Now third factor we have to find out. So options are these: date of birth, fingerprints, PIN, and RSS secure ID. Now if you know, guys, date of birth is nothing. This is not a kind of factor that you can provide, right? Now if I talk about PIN, So as you can see, password is there, so there is no need of PIN, right? Now we are left with fingerprints and RSA secure ID. Now what is RSA secure ID? RSA secure ID is what? It is an authenticator that has a unique key, and that key is used to we combine that key with the algorithm, and that generates a new code, right? And that code is generated every 60 seconds. So we cannot do that because we have what? A unique key it is asking. So with unique key we have a password, right? And in that unique key there will be a code generated, then it will be authenticated, so it will be a long process. So we have a password. The password can be alphanumeric also. So a unique key, we don't know that key, what that key is, if that key is only numeric or alphabetic or alphanumeric, and it will be a long process, right? So what we will do, we will go with the fingerprints, because if I want to get inside the organization, so what I want quick things, right? So I swiped my card, I entered the password and the fingerprint, and then done, I will be inside the organization. So that says we will go with the fingerprints, right? Now, next thing, an organization is developing a plan in the event of a complete loss of critical systems and data. So they are developing a thing, right? So if there will be a complete loss of critical systems, what are critical systems? Your servers, your web servers, mail servers, your security, and the server systems that are very critical, that are handling all this stuff in your organization, right? So what we have, like, they are developing a plan in the event of complete loss of critical systems. So if there will be a complete failure, complete loss of critical system, what plan should be there for that? Because what next steps we will be taking? So which of the following plans is the organization most likely to develop? Now what we will be having, guys, will be having some options, and out of those options you have to find out what plan they are trying to create, they're trying to develop. So we have incident response, communications, data retention, and disaster recovery. So what will be the option? Now, guys, communications is nothing, right? So we are not taking care of communications because we have network security. We are not trying to deploy anything that is only securing the communications, right? Now, incident response. Incident response is used where when your data is theft, or what you will do after the attack has happened, right? So after the attack has happened, or any device or your network is under the attack is going on. So what you will do at that time, that is your incident response. What response you will be having, right? So this will not be the answer. Now disaster recovery and data retention, right? Now if I talk about disaster recovery and data retention, so what is data retention? Now data retention policies are there, that we have incident. So in incident response we have data retention policies. So if any incident happened in the organization, so what will be happening, guys? We have a methodology that we use in incident response, right? So in that methodology we will identify, so identification is there, right? After that identification we try to find out the things, we try to do detection. So we have detection analysis, right? Now after detection analysis we have your eradication, recovery, and containment. So this is eradication, means we are removing that particular attack or the things that are there in the attack. We are recovering the data that is theft, and we are putting the system that is under attack in the containment to find out more information that who is the attacker. Right now, after that, what we have lesson learned. What lesson you learned from this whole process if the attack happened? Now in lesson learned, what we have is lesson learned, we have data retention policy. So let's say an attack happened. So in that attack, what you will do, you will create a workbook for it, right? So there will be a workbook, right? And now that workbook will be doing what? In that workbook, everything will be written, that how you identified the attack, how you detected the attack, what were your preparations, how you eradicated it, how you recovered the data, what devices you put in the containment, right? So that will be written in the workbook. So if any new employee arrives to your organization, so you will just provide that workbook to him to read the latest case that happened with the organization. Right now, if we talk about data retention, so for how much long you will do retention of this work, what data should be stored or archived, where that should happen, and for exactly how long. So once the retention time period for a particular data set expires, it can be deleted or moved as a historical data to a secondary or tertiary storage, right? That is your data retention. So here we are not talking about data retention, that for how long we will be storing this workbook. We are not talking about that. We are talking about if any complete loss happens, then what you will do. Even if you have an organization at the ground floor, right? Your office is in the ground floor. So what will happen? If flood arrives, if there is flood, all of your systems are crashed. Now what you will do? So your disaster recovery will help over there. So the correct answer is disaster recovery, right? Now let's move on to the next question. And next question says the CSO, Chief Security Officer of a data center in a hostile environment, is concerned about protecting the facility from car bomb attacks. Which of the following best would protect the building from this threat? Right? So this question is concerning about your physical security, guys. Right? So as you can see, there is a data center in a hostile environment, and CSO is what? CSO is trying to protect the facility from car bomb attack, like that someone drove a car to the organization, and what happens in that? There is a bomb in that car. So what we have some options. So what options you will choose? Now these are 6 options: dogs, fencing, CCTV, guards, bollards, light. Now what you have to do is you have to select 2 answers. Now which 2 answers you will be selecting, guys? Now car bomb attacks, dogs are not helping. Your CCTV, can it help? If a car bomb attack happens, how the CCTV will help? Right? CCTV will be finding out that who was that attacker and what was the car number. But what if there was no number plate on that car? Right? You will not be able to identify if the face is covered. Right? And what we are concerned towards, we are not concerned towards after effects, that after we will find out the culprit. We are concerned about that we will be safe from that. So CCTV will be what? CCTV will be used in investigation, correct? So CCTV will be not there. Guards can be an option, but what if there are people who said I am there for a business deal? Guards are not technical people, they do not know anything like that, right? But they can protect our organization, right? Lighting is used that your CCTV cameras, sometimes your CCTV cameras are not for night vision, they do not have night vision, so we use lighting, so it is not an option. Now we are left with three: fencing, guards and bollards. Now bollards are what? The vertical posts, as you have seen, that side corners of roads or any organization, there are bollards, right? So after the fencing we have bollards, right? So the correct answer will be your fencing and bollards, right? So we will be using the fencing, we will be using the bollards, because even if there is no car bomb attack, why we need fencing? That it can happen from outside the gate of the organization, someone will throw a bomb, right? So that can also happen, so we have to take care of that. So our fences will be very high, and there will be bollards if someone is entering the organization, so that guards can check, right? Guards will also be there, right? Now next thing, so it says a company's employees were victim of spear phishing campaign impersonating the CEO. Now, the company would now like to implement a solution to improve the overall security posture by assuring their employees that email originated from the CEO. Now, which of the following controls they implement to best meet this goal? So, what happened, guys? The organization's employees are getting an email from their CEO, right? And they are getting the email from their CEO about some critical information. So if you are working in an organization and you get the email from your CEO, you will surely reply to it, right? But that is not sent by CEO, right? Now the company wants to implement a solution to improve the overall security posture by assuring their employees that email was originated from the CEO. Any email arrives from the CEO, that will be only from CEO. It will not be a phishing email, right? So which controls you will provide? So what do you have, guys? You have spam filters, digital signatures, antivirus software, digital certificates. So which of these things you will? So people who are saying spam filters, just a quick thing I want to show you. You guys are thinking the correct way, that spam filter will work, right? But sometimes what happens, guys, spam filter does not work. How? Let me show you an emailer. Now guys, you can see this is a fake emailer. If I will write a name, let's say I'll writing Raghu over here, right? And I'm writing Raghu@123.com. So 123 is the organization's link. Let's say InfosecTrain.com. Raghu is working in InfosecTrain, so InfosecTrain.com. And whom you want to send. Now, if I will send it to my email ID, right, of Gmail, right? If that will be a Gmail ID, spam filter is there, right? But if any one of you has Yahoo Mail, if any one of you uses Yahoo Mail, it will be not in spam, right? So this can be done what? A new fake emailer, because Google knows about this emailer, so that's why it is doing spam filtering. What if I have the digital certificates? Then it will not be able to do that, right? So spam filter is not working for us. Now, digital certificates are what? Digital certificates are the things that authenticate the user, that this user is authenticated person. You can communicate with him. So we have digital certificates for websites and applications, that if you can use that or not, right? Antivirus software, again, not an option. Now next, last, what we are left with? We are left with digital signatures. So digital signatures are what? Let's say you have this data right? You want to send this data. So with this data, we have a hash, and that hash is protected by the private key of the sender. So if your private key is never shared on in the network, right, in anywhere to any person, only your private key stays with you. So that means if this hash is encrypted with your private key, that means only you have done it, and that means you have digitally signed it, right? So after next time, if you have digitally signed, if your hash is encrypted with the private key of the CEO, then everyone will come to know that your data is sent only by the CEO, right? So that is the question. Now, next question. What next question says, due to issues with building keys being duplicated and distributed, a security administrator wishes to change to a different security control regarding a restricted area. The goal is to provide access based upon facial recognition. Which of the following will address this requirement? Now we will see the options. Now, building keys are being duplicated and distributed. So a security administrator is trying to what? He is wishing to change the different security controls regarding the restricted area like server rooms and all. So the goal of his is to provide access based on facial recognition. Now, which of the following things we can implement? Now, set up man traps to avoid tailgating of approved users. So tailgating is what? It is a attack of social engineering in which we do what? The attacker follows the authorized user and gets inside the organization. So we provide man traps for it. So a long way where all the people, basically the guards, can see if that person is of the organization or not, right? Now, if you guys can see, it is a very easy question, guys. And if I tell you about it, so that is, they are saying we have to provide access based upon facial recognition. Your man traps and tailgating is not taking care of facial recognition. Fingerprint, it is taking care of fingerprint, it is not taking care of facial recognition. Now, proximity readers to scan user badges. What if someone has copied your badge? If you guys don't believe me, so I can show you a thing that is called KeyC, and it can duplicate your RFID cards, right? So this device is called KeyC and it can duplicate your cards and anyone can get inside the organization, right? If you have proximity readers to scan the user badges, so I can copy in 30 seconds, it will be copying anyone's badge and then I will be inside the organization. So this is also not the option. Now we are left with place a guard at the entrance to approve access. Yes, correct. Because guards know about every person who is working in the organization. So we will be placing a guard over there. Now the question says a situation in which an authorized person can view users display or keyboard to learn their password or other confidential information is referred to as. So let's see the options first, guys. Now you have to find out of these four options, you have to find a situation in which authorized person can view another user display or keyboard to learn their password or any information. Right? Spear phishing is what? Spear phishing means attacking a single individual or a single organization. Right? Now tailgating is what we discussed about tailgating. That tailgating is a social engineering attack in which we follow the attackers. Spoofing means copying anything. There is MAC spoofing. You are copying a MAC address. There is IP spoofing. So you are spoofing, copying the IP address of anyone else, or you are doing ARP spoofing. So you are spoofing the ARP request, right? Now we are left with shoulder surfing. Shoulder surfing is something that we have done at some point of time. Like this is the last hour of your exam and you don't know the answer. So what you did, you copied from someone else, you saw someone else's answer sheet and copied the question. So that is shoulder surf. So the correct answer for this is shoulder surf. Now next question says, which social engineering attack relies on identity theft? Now let's see the options. Impersonation, dumpster diving, watering hole attack, and shoulder surfing. So what dumpster diving is, if you go through the dumpster diving means going through the trash of any person and doing what? And finding out the useful information or confidential information from that. Watering hole attack, phishing the whole organization. If you are trying to send phishing mails, malicious emails to the whole organization, that is watering hole attack. And shoulder surfing, in the last question we discussed, that you are seeing someone else's passwords or any important information, right? So these three are not the answers. We are left with impersonation. So in impersonation, we do what? In impersonation, we find out that if there is any person, that is we are impersonating any other person. If there is any person who looks like us, somewhat looks like us, so why don't we impersonate like him? Or what we do, we have some of his information like security number, his driving license, so we can do what, we can show that I am this person and let me have account in your bank, this is my ID, right? So that is impersonation. You are attacking the anyone else's identity. Now next question says, phishing scams targeting people holding high positions in an organization or business are known as. So what we have these options: phishing, whaling, bluejacking, and farming. So what do you guys think? So wishing is what? If we talk about wishing is your voice over phishing. So if you guys get calls, different types of calls, like you have won a lottery, for doing that, just press 1, press 2. So that is voice over phishing, right? Or if someone is saying your credit card has been blocked, now if to renew it, you have to give us your credit card number. That is also phishing. Someone is calling you and convincing you to do something, right? Farming is what happens in farming, you are redirected to a different website, a malicious website that is of the user, of the attacker, right? So you are redirected to the attacker's website. So that is farming attack. Now what is bluejacking? Now bluejacking refers to the attacks that are related to the Bluetooth, and in that you only get the access of the messages of a particular person if that person is in the Bluetooth range, like maximum 10 meters, right? So that is your bluejacking. Now we are left with whaling. So as the name is also saying, whaling, whale is the biggest fish in the sea. That means we are targeting the people who are holding high positions. So in whaling, we target the people who are having high positions in the organization. So that is what? That is whaling. So like CEOs, your CTOs, CFOs, CEOs, those types of people we are attacking. So for attacking those people, what we have to do, we have to create some genuine looking websites, genuine looking emails we have to see, right? Moving on to the last question, guys. It says, privacy filter, also known as privacy screen, is a protective overlay placed on a computer screen that narrows the viewing angle. So the screen content is only visible directly in front of the monitor and cannot be seen by others nearby, right? Now, privacy filter is one of the countermeasures against shoulder surfing. So this was the definition about privacy filter, and you have to tell that is this definition correct, yes or no. So your shoulder surfing is what? Shoulder surfing, what we are doing, we are watching someone else's or screen, right? And we are getting the information. So what we have to do, we have narrowed down the screen so that others cannot view that, only the user that is sitting in front of the device can see that. So yes, it is a countermeasure for shoulder surfing attack. Clear everyone? Okay. So these were all the questions. This will help you in passing the Security Plus exam, right? Thank you everyone. Thank you so much. Take care. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Cheers everyone. Thank you.